Hi guys, so starting off where I last ended a while back, I actually made this scene a while ago while demonstrating to Nick what I wanted to do for you guys, and my recording software crashed halfway, so that was a real pain in the ass. But anyway, today we're going to learn how to use these group rope blend nodes that I was talking about. So the setup here is exactly the same as the last tutorial. Yeah, the joints are not rotated around. I just rigged these guys straight. But they're still the same behavior. They do the exact same thing that I was talking about, and we're actually going to make use of these now. So what we're going to achieve is, I shouldn't have actually talked about that. Well, let me just do it, and it'll make more sense. It'll be faster. So what we want to do first is we are going to load this new window called the node editor. You can use the connection editor, or you can use the hypergraph. I prefer this now because this is actually what Maya will be shifting to, thanks to the Softimage team working on this now. So what we're going to do is we actually don't need any of the deformer groups. This is going to be rig behavior, not the deformer behavior. So let's load in the first group rope blend node. Actually, let's load in the first control and the second group rope blend node. So just like those two, and hit this little button here, which graphs the input and output connections. So this window here is basically showing us a list of nodes that are connected to this control. This is the transform node, and that group rope blend node. Okay, this is just the shape node, the actual the shape of the object. Like everything in Maya has, well, not everything, but most most DAG objects in Maya will have a transform node, which determines its space in the world, and a shape node, which determines its actual shape. So that's what you're actually seeing here. And as you can see, there's a constraint here that we see is connected to the group constraint node. That is the joint here. Now the joint is not in this window because we are only graphing the connections, the direct connections, output connections for this and this node, these two. So if you select that and graph it, you'll see the joint appear as well. But we don't, that's just extra information we don't need. So I'm just gonna remove that from the node tree. Don't even recall if you can actually remove that from the node tree from here. Oh wait. You know what, I'm just gonna, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just gonna do it here. That. Okay, and the first thing we're gonna create here is hit tab, right? Which brings up this dialog here, and type multiply divide. So the point of this is that we're gonna divide the rotations of one of this rope blend node by this. So I'm gonna rename that first. And what I'm going to do is connect this guy, this controls rotates to the first input of this rope blend. And you'll see that this node is automatically created, don't worry about it. So if I hover over this, okay, make sure you connect the output rotate here, right, to the input of this. And if we open this node now in the attribute editor, you'll see this MD rope blend node, and you'll see input 1 and input 2. Now multiply is basically taking the first input and multiplying it by the second input. You can change it to divide or power. I usually use multiply because if you use divide, you run into the chance of division by 0 if you screw yourself up. So I usually just multiply, because you can always multiply by 0.5 or 0.2 if you need to do a division. So I recommend using multiply operations instead of divide. That's just me. If you're really good and you're perfect and you'll never get divide by 0 errors because you're that fantastic of a programmer, go ahead. But I just use multiply operations in general because I always screw up. So what we want to do now is pipe the output of that node to the group rope blend 2 node. And you'll notice that if I just rotate this now, it's, hey, I'm getting some kind of weird curving behavior, which is what I want. I want the rotates to add onto the nodes beneath it, right? And you can control that with this operation here. So if I set that to 0, right, it'll be perfect FK mode. right? Where I get a 1:1 rotation. But if I change that up to 1, or let's just, you know, change that in the channel box to 10, because I'm crazy. You know, hey, whoa, again, like, you know, the kind of effect you're going for. So let's just, you know, keep that a reasonable blend mode. We don't want to, you know, keep coming in here to, you know, keep changing that value, and we want this to be, you know, controllable, right? We want to animate this sometimes. So I'm gonna leave that actually 1 first. What we need to do is create a new attribute on this control that controls this exact parameter. Okay, and the way to do that is edit, add attribute. So make sure you selected that control first, like this control here. I'm just selecting it from the node editor because that's easier for me. And we're just gonna call this, you know, whatever you want. I don't care what you call it, really. Just make sure you name it in this way. No spaces. Okay, camel case, like programming convention, that kind of thing. And we're gonna set it to a float value with a minimum of 0 and a max of 10. And I'm gonna default it to 1. Okay, you can always change those values later, but yeah. So now, what we want to do is connect this attribute here to the input 2x, y, and z of these. Okay, so open up the connection editor. If you don't know where that is, it's under Window, General, Connection Editor. Okay, and you know, select the control first, reload left, select that MD node, reload right, and we're going to connect the row blend, like I said, to the input 2. And you'll see now that if I just select this control, I have this rotational blending node, and I can, you know, increase or decrease that at will. Right? So this way, you know, you can create, you can see how this is actually, you know, there's ways to kind of, you know, get around this where you can, you know, if you have your chain in FK mode, you have to select all 5 controls and do that at the same time to get that kind of behavior. I just find it's easier to have that actual rotation blending node to, you know, help you out. And this way you can also create negative rotation blending. So if I change this attribute, under modify edit attribute, I can give it a minimum of -10. Okay, and now you'll see that with just rotating one control, right, I can get, you know, follow through action by animating this row blend node instead of going in and animating the FK controls manually. So I can get this kind of effect. You know, it's almost like there's an IK goal even though there isn't actually one, right? So I prefer having this kind of control rather than, you know, keying them with all 5 controls separately. Because this way I can, you know, I can just copy the animation from one to another without having to offset them, and it will be, you know, it will give me the exact behavior I want. Anyway, so we're gonna do that for the next one, and just select your second control, the second row blend node, graph them, right? You're right here, and do the exact same thing. Gonna connect the rotates. And this is something that actually can be scripted. It's just that I haven't actually taken the time to do it. It will seem a little, you know, like mind-boggling, especially if you got a tentacle with like 100 controls or, you know, 10 of them to connect. So you might want to like think about automating this process, you know, if you have the time to do it. It's always a challenge to, you know, like decide should you automate something, should you not, right? Because sometimes taking the time to automate it might end up taking more time than if you had done it manually. So okay, I'm going to add the row blend attribute. I was just checking to make sure I had the right node selected. Okay, and these two, select these two, open up the connection editor, row blend, bam, and if we set, oops, where did I add that to? Okay, there we go. Huh. Oops, that's the wrong site to edit to. Oh, and if you find that you added an attribute wrongly, which I just did, you can go to edit, delete attributes. Okay? It's not all is lost. Right, so that's actually incorrectly connected. Okay, let's just undo. Let's just remove those connections. Yeah, this is what happens when I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing and talking way too much. So, okay. Okay, that's correct. So, all you need to do is just... Yeah, let me turn down the music. Sorry, I actually did not realize I still had that on. Okay, okay, maybe now I'll actually pay attention to what the hell I'm doing. Output goes to the rope blend. Okay, and we'll add the attribute here. Okay. There you go. And again, select these two. Okay. And this will be working as well if we turn it up. There we go. Perfect. So I'm just gonna hit these two and hit one to see how it looks like. There we go. So rotating one will already give us that that blending effect. And if I select this one and change it to more, we can see that it's already giving us a curve without me having to do anything at all. Right? Whee! Although you might want to change the amount of blending. It has to like 0.5 or something. But anyway. Okay. So you just have to go through and add it for all of these, basically. It's a pain if you don't have scripts to help you automate this. But really, all you really are doing is just making a multiply divide node here. Oops. Taking the control node again. Actually, it's control 3, I believe. Yeah, this one, not this one. Go away. Connecting its rotates to the first input. Connecting the output to the rotate of the row blend input. Creating an attribute on here. Oops. Setting a minimum and maximum value. Then taking those two and then connecting them together. That's all you're really doing. It's not that difficult. This is actually really simple, and you know, I feel it helps. So you know, you can choose to ignore this. You don't have to do it for your rigs or anything like that. But you know, I find it's cute. It's a cute control to have, and you know, it can help you get some kind of interesting animations going on. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial, and to show you an actual rig that is using it, or actually a pimped up version of it. You just load up the branch of this guy, and if Maya doesn't crash, okay. There we go. Woo! So, you know, this guy is connected to a hair system as well, which will enable hair simulation of it. It's still experimental, so I'm not going to demonstrate it here. But I can switch this to IK and FK mode if I want. But you'll probably see that in a separate video. Okay, and for now, that's it.